Memorial Day means. Let's bring in Jon Soltz, an Iraq War veteran and the co-founder and chairman of VoteVets.org, and also retired Army Colonel and MSNBC military analyst Jack Jacobs. Colonel, let me start with you. Of course, we saw the president at the Tomb of the Unknowns, or the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, as it is called, laying that wreath. And that's an amazing place here just outside Washington at Arlington National Cemetery, where the president paid his tribute today, isn't it?
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about how it's guarded continuously 24 hours a day, 365 days a year by the old guard in Washington. As an interesting anecdote, there was a terrible snowstorm there not all that long ago, and they were thinking about suspending it, the marching to protect the tomb, and the old guard, the soldiers themselves, whose job it is to guard the tomb, rejected that and said that they would continue marching in the worst possible weather because they did not want to see the tomb go unprotected. It's a long, old, and very important tradition in the service.
John, you do a lot of work, of course, with our veterans as an advocacy group. What is the state of the men and our women who are returning from these long tours in Iraq and Afghanistan on this Memorial Day when we think about the state of many of our veterans?
I think it's a hard day for veterans. I think it's a very hard day for these vets, and for two reasons. I think the first is that a lot of people in America, sometimes they feel like Memorial Day is a day for a cookout, and I think that's tough. And so when people take a moment to really reflect on their friends who've died in Iraq or Afghanistan, it's a different day for them. And then I think also for people who've just come home, I think that for them, there's a little bit of a survivor's guilt. A lot of people who've been in combat are going to sit there and they're going to look and they're going to say, gosh, you know, my friend died or my friend was killed in combat and I wasn't. And so it's a very solemn day for people who've served or people who've had loved ones who've died. It's as if a day where maybe someone's mother or father had passed away and you always remember that one day.
Mm-hmm. It's great to have both of you on, John, because you are a younger veteran. You've served in the most recent years, and the Colonel, you, of course, served in Vietnam, and, of course, even many of our veterans from Vietnam are facing a number of challenges with an overloaded VA, just having difficulty getting treatment from the VA. The President has promised to reform those things. General Shinseki now in charge of the VA. Just how huge are those challenges in terms of addressing the needs of our men and women in the military, and those who are veterans?
The challenges are very big. You're quite right to mention General Shinseki, who himself is a Vietnam War veteran who was wounded several times in action and who had been the Chief of Staff of the United States Army. He is the best guy to be running this organization at a time of transition. And yes, because of the fact that there's both an aging population of veterans, myself included, and those of General Shinseki's generation, and the newer veterans who are coming home, these challenges are huge. And they're huge because the Veterans Administration is, by and large, a very large bureaucracy. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it does mean that bureaucracies are not necessarily suited to rising to challenges.
Thank you.
And Colonel, now, of course, the President takes the microphone, and let's listen to our Commander-in-Chief's comments.
Please.